welcome friends. Today we will study about shock. What is circulatory shock? What are the causes of shock? What is its effects on arterial pressure? And what are the types of shocks? Basically, we will first have to go through the term shock. Shock or circulatory shock is a condition in which there is inadequate blood flow to our body tissues, so that tissue deterioration starts. Because we know there should be an adequate blood flow to our tissues to maintain their life. Whenever the situation is that inadequate blood flows to our tissues due to some reason, there will be less food available, less nutrients available for our tissues, so that tissue deterioration starts up, and this is the result of the shock, any type of shock. Now we will study what are the causes of shock. Basically, there are two physiological causes of shock. The first one is due to decreased cardiac output. We know that there is heart in our blood, in our body, and there is a cardiac system inside our body to pump enough blood to all our body tissues. Whenever, due to some reason, due to some cardiac anomaly, there is decreased cardiac output, heart is not pumping enough to pump its blood to all the body tissues, the condition will be caused as decreased cardiac output. And the shock due to decreased cardiac output will be called as cardiogenic shock. What is called as cardiogenic shock? Because it is due to decreased cardiac output. So the shock will be called as cardiogenic shock. Now the second physiological cause of shock is shock without diminished cardiac output. It is the origin somewhat else, like if we are hemorrhagic, we commit an accident or something else. Then the second cause will be shock without the diminished cardiac output. This type of shock I'll teach in my second video regarding shock. So these are the two physiological causes of shock. One is cardiogenic and another one is non-cardiogenic. Cardiogenic shock is basically due to cardiac abnormalities like cardiac arrhythmias, cardiac fibrillation, or something else, cardiac tamponade, whatever, or any anomaly related to cardiac system will lead to cardiac anomaly, and cardiac abnormalities led to cardiogenic shock. And the second cardiogenic shock reason will be decreased venous return. Suppose our venous return is large because of venous pooling of blood. Venous return is small, so whenever venous return is small, there will be less cardiac output. According to Frank's Starling mechanism, that our heart responds to venous return. We can say that cardiac venous return is directly proportional to cardiac output. Venous return is directly proportional to cardiac output. This is Frank's Starling mechanism, that whenever there is large venous return, our heart will pump all the cardiac output, and the cardiac output will increase. Whenever there is decreased venous return, the cardiac output will also be decreased. So this is the second reason responding to cardiogenic shock. First one is cardiac abnormality, second one is decreased venous return. Now the second physiological cause is non-cardiogenic shock, and its reasons are excessive metabolic rate. Suppose one of our tissue is having high metabolic rate, so whenever there is high metabolic rate, there will be the large requirement of nutrients for such tissue. And when there is large requirement, our body flow is normal, and the tissue is having a high metabolic rate, and the normal blood flow cannot meet the needs of that tissue, so there will be the shock and there will be the degeneration of that tissue. Now, and the second type responding to non-cardiogenic shock will be abnormal tissue perfusion pattern. For for example, our blood flow is towards some is having some abnormal perfusion pattern, like it's not having a good perfusion pattern to the tissues to which we should. Blood flows to the areas where it is not requirement. Like perfusion means blooding areas, like the areas where we have to give blood to provide the nutrients, oxygen, and other things to our tissues. So there is abnormal tissue perfusion pattern, like to one tissue we are supplying too much nutrients and the other tissues we are supplying nothing due to some vascular changes or something else. So there will be the abnormal tissue perfusion pattern, and this will lead to the non-cardiogenic shock. Now, these were the physiological causes of shock. From Guyton chapter 24, I am exclusively discussing this whole topic from Guyton. And now, the tissue deterioration is the result of shock. Causes of shock, only physiological causes. The other types, stages, all things I'll teach in my second video regarding shock. Now physiological causes are here, and the result of this shock, this circulatory shock, is the tissue deterioration. We know that cardiac output, there is flow to our blood, there is less flow to our tissues, tissue deterioration occurs, there is less venous return. Whenever there is less venous return, there is cardiac musculature deterioration starts. Whenever cardiac musculature deterioration starts, the cardiac our heart will be too weak to pump enough blood to the tissues. Again a vicious cycle is starts, because each time a circulation occurred, there will be the weakness of our heart, more and more weakness over our heart to pump enough blood to the tissues, and tissue deterioration occurs. Also the heart musculature deterioration occurs, and the result of all this tissue deterioration is death ultimately. This is the result of tissue. This is the result of tissue deterioration from shock, so that death occurs. Now, what is the effect of shock on our arterial pressure? Because in many types of shock, we generally measure the arterial pressure to study that which type of shock is occurring in our body, and what is the cause, what is the reason of that shock. Here we have to discuss arterial pressure, but arterial pressure is again misleading, because in some cases, in some types of shock, arterial pressure remains normal, while the cardiac output or the blood volume in our body becomes too much small. To study arterial pressure effect, I have made this graph here. See, this is the cardiac output 100%, and this is the arterial pressure. This is the normal range. Suppose the patient is commits an accident, and there is hemorrhage, and the blood is flowing out of the body, and the blood reserves of our body becomes less. So, see, this is the cardiac output. Cardiac output is becoming small and small. Here is the arterial pressure, because the main focus of our circulation is on maintenance of arterial pressure. So arterial pressure is maintained to a very large amount, like whenever we are having 20% loss, 15 to 20% loss of our blood, still the arterial pressure is normal. Why arterial pressure is normal? Because nervous reflexes are too much strong to maintain the arterial pressure whenever body feels that arterial pressure is going down. So see, cardiac output is depleting very fast, while the arterial pressure remains normal up till 15 to 20% loss of cardiac reserves, or 15 to 20% loss of our blood. Now then beyond this range the arterial pressure drops, but here again A plateau occurs due to CNS ischemic response. I will discuss the CNS ischemic response in our next video. CNS ischemic response become active to maintain again the arterial pressure, although the blood is also decreasing rapidly. So you can see this is the cardiac output. This is the arterial pressure. What is the relation? That cardiac output is depleting soon, but the arterial pressure follows it. Arterial pressure tends to remain normal until the 40 to 50% of our blood is lost. Whenever there is 40 to 50% loss of our blood, then the arterial pressure drops suddenly, and here when the arterial pressure drops, this is the very vicious cycles occur, and the death ultimately occurs. So this was the